What happens when a royal who renounced his crown faces off with a satirist who's never held back a punch? You get a late-night showdown so raw, so unfiltered, it left millions stunned and one man walking off stage without a word. Prince. Harry stepped onto the Daily Show stage expecting another friendly PR chat. But across from him sat Jon Stewart, a man known not for soft questions but sharp truths. And Stewart had no intention of playing nice. What began as lighthearted banter quickly spiraled into one of the most intense live interviews in recent memory, a verbal slugfest between privilege and principle, pain and perception. And by the time it was over, the mask had slipped, the gloves were off, and the audience was left questioning everything they thought they knew. Before we dig into this unforgettable confrontation, do me a favor, hit that like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe if you want more raw stories that cut through the glossy surface of celebrity culture. And let me ask you this, if someone aired your family's secrets to millions, would you call it courage or betrayal? The cameras hadn't even started rolling when the tension began brewing. Inside the Daily Show studio, a familiar hum filled the air, the quiet buzz of stagehands, the shuffle of audience members settling into their seats, and the gentle thump of microphones being tested. At center stage sat Prince Harry, adjusting his collar as a makeup artist dabbed at his cheek. He looked calm, maybe too calm. After all, this was routine by now. Another book tour, another carefully curated media stop. Most hosts tiptoed. Around him, tonight, he assumed, would be no different. But it would be, because walking toward the desk with a glint in his eye and a smirk that spelled mischief was Jon Stewart, a man who'd made a career out of dismantling power with humor. And he wasn't here for damage control. Your Royal Highness, Jon began with an overthought bow, the crowd chuckling before he finished. Or wait, is it former Royal Highness? I keep losing track of the palace rules. Harry laughed. A little too quickly, just Harry is fine. Thanks for having me. Oh, the pleasure's all mine, Jon replied, sinking into his chair. Been looking forward to this for weeks. The lights shifted, the theme music faded, and the cameras rolled. Ladies and gentlemen, Jon grinned into the lens. Tonight's guest has written a memoir that sold more copies than the Bible at airport bookstores because apparently, if you're born into the most photographed family on earth and then spill all their secrets, well, people eat that up. The audience burst into laughter, but Harry's smile stiffened ever so slightly. And I know what you're thinking, Jon continued. Jon, why are you interviewing a prince? Well, because regular folks are boring. And if I'm going to hear someone complain about their relatives, I'd rather it be someone whose family owns castles. Another wave of laughter. But this time Harry's jaw flexed. The charm offensive wasn't going as planned. And the worst part, it was only just beginning. But what happened next would push both men past their breaking point. Jon leaned forward, his tone shifting, humor giving way to curiosity and something sharper. Let's start with the elephant in the room, he said. You wrote a book where you describe deeply personal conversations with your father, your brother, even your stepmother. These aren't small revelations. These are moments most families would never dream of sharing. So, help me understand. What made you think this was the right way to go? Harry straightened his spine. He'd answered this before. For years, he began, I stayed silent while others shaped the narrative around me and my wife. This book, it was my chance to finally speak my truth. Your truth, Jon repeated slowly. Interesting phrase. Because from where I'm sitting, it kind of looked like you took a blowtorch to your family's privacy and called it therapy. But hey, I'm just a guy from Jersey who once argued over pizza slices at Thanksgiving. The audience laughed, but unease crept in. The mood had shifted from late-night banter to a slow unraveling. Harry's voice tensed. I think that's an unfair characterization. Is it? Jon asked. Because your publisher paid you millions to tell your side? That's not a theory. That's public record. Harry's expression hardened. Are you implying I did this for money? I'm not implying, Jon said bluntly. I'm stating you were paid millions. And now you want us to believe this was some noble crusade for honesty? For the first time, Harry's composure began to waver. I've been silenced for years, he said. Jon leaned back, eyebrows raised, silenced. Harry, you're a prince. You've had access to the most powerful platforms on the planet since before you could read. If that's being silenced, I'd hate to see what heard looks like. The laughter returned, brief, awkward, but Harry didn't join in. That's not the same, he snapped. You're comparing ordinary problems to a life lived under constant scrutiny. Losing my mother in front of the world, watching my grief turned into tabloid fodder, that's not a palace problem. That's trauma. For a beat, Jon's face softened just for a second. No one's saying that wasn't real, he said. What happened to your mother was awful. But what I don't understand is how you can demand privacy, then launch documentaries, interviews, and a best-selling memoir. Harry's voice rose. I didn't ask for this life, but you're choosing it now, Jon shot back. No. One forced you to write this book. No one made you share your brother's insecurities or your father's private words. You chose to, and you profited from it. And just like that, the gloves were off, and the clash that followed would leave. One of them standing alone, Harry leaned forward, his face flushed, hands gripping the armrests of his chair. How dare you reduce my life to a payday, he said. Jon didn't flinch. I'm not reducing anything, but let's call things what they are. You talk about breaking cycles and healing trauma, but what I see is a man who wrote a tell-all that reads more like revenge than resolution. You don't get it, Harry said. You never will. That institution, the one you seem so eager to defend, it chewed up my mother. It nearly destroyed my wife. Jon's eyes narrowed. Then why didn't you leave quietly? He asked. Why not walk away without the interviews, the Netflix deals, the worldwide memoir launch? If you wanted peace, why set the house on fire as you walked out the door? Harry's voice was shaking now because they wouldn't let us go quietly, he said. They smeared us, fed stories to the press, used us to deflect from other scandals. So, your answer was to do the same to them? Jon asked, voice low. To feed your side to the media, to cash in on their private pain. The only difference is, you got paid for it. The studio was silent now. Even the crew had stopped moving. You've become exactly what you claim to despise, Jon said. You say you hate the circus, but now you're selling tickets to your own show. Harry stood up. You don't know me, he said, his voice cracking. I don't, Jon replied. But I know what you've chosen to show the world. And what you've shown is someone who uses personal tragedy as currency. Harry's jaw clenched. I'm trying to help people. Then help without destroying the people who loved you, Jon said. Talk about mental health without publishing your family's grief. Share your experience, not their secrets. Harry sat back down, hands trembling. For a moment he looked lost. Not as a prince, but as a man who'd just realized he may have crossed a line he didn't fully understand. I never saw it that way, he admitted softly, because you didn't. Want to? Jon replied. And then, just when it seemed like things might calm down, the final blow was delivered. You came here expecting a puff piece, Jon said. A chance to sell more books? But this is what accountability looks like, and you're not used to that. Harry's expression hardened again. The vulnerability vanished. You think you're so noble, he said. You mock people for a living, tear them down on TV. At least I'm trying to make a difference. Jon's smile was razor sharp. The difference is, I make jokes about people with power. You betrayed the people who trusted you. You sold their truth, not yours. You have no idea what I've lived through, Harry said. And you have no idea what you've become? Jon fired back. You want to be seen as a victim, but you're acting like a brand. Harry stood again. This conversation is over. Fine, Jon said, unbothered. But before you go, just know this. You're not being attacked. You're being seen, clearly maybe for the first time. Harry ripped off his microphone, the screech of feedback cutting through the silence. He took a step forward, fists clenched, staring Jon down. You think cruelty is courage, he growled. You think sarcasm is substance, but you're just a bitter man hiding behind a desk. Jon shrugged. And you're a prince, hiding behind pain. Without another word, Harry turned and walked off stage, leaving behind his mic, his carefully constructed image. And whatever goodwill he had left in the room, the studio remained frozen in silence. No clapping, no booing, just shock. Jon turned back to the camera. Well, he said, I guess that's what happens when royalty meets reality. Not pretty, but sometimes necessary. The screen faded to black dot. So what do you think? Was Jon Stewart holding Harry accountable or just tearing him down? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that go beyond the headlines and into the truth that most people are too afraid to face.